We just went live. We decided theoretically
Hey,
to
hey.
go live at 9 o'clock, but they were still 3 minutes late. So,
Yeah, yeah. No, that was the right choice.
and I feel like we're basically redoing what we did yesterday, which is giving an update on our projects and then saying anything that we want to get help with from that. Sam said he couldn't make it today. I'm sure you guys saw. Although I was confused, I thought he was just saying it to me, and then I saw your faces that he had made a messenger
yeah.
with all of us in it. And then I sent this to Shiloh as well, but like 45 minutes ago, so I don't know if she's coming either. But I think just being here, showing up, doing it, and then showcasing, hopefully more people come. And then I'm going to commit right now, remind me at the end, because I only rewatch the ends of these, to post the link for both our Friday session and our Saturday session today or tomorrow, so that there's much more time for people to schedule. Yes, I want to be part of that. This is what it looks like. And so maybe we can also craft a bit of what this does look like, just in wording, which I'm never the best at, for written. What is it we're doing during this hour that isn't me rambling about it for 3 paragraphs, right? So we get together and we talk about this, then we do that. We don't need that. So, but we can redo what we did yesterday. How is Reason Score going? I'll pick Bentley.
Good. So I'll kind of reiterate and then talk about some new stuff in the last 24 hours. Sorry. Yeah, so I was able to work 30 hours this last week, which is really good. On Reason Score, I'm about to update the demo on the website with the new system, which will allow me to throw out features a lot quicker. I posted on Twitter under my my character name, Gullybot. No one has responded to that idea, but I can still gather data without that, and then later I'll come in and say Gullybot has an opinion, and that's when people will stomp all over him, because it's only when you have opinions on Twitter that people stomp all over you. But that'll be the engagement. It says, "Oh, I believe this," and then I'll take the data and just rinse and repeat. And then today, I'm also, since it deals with debating stuff, I'm in a group called the Canonical Debate Lab, and we had 2 other people join who have 2 other projects. So there will be some progress in that area as people get to know and argue about arguing, which is always fun. That's kind of the progress. And I guess if we're going to do full accountability, which we haven't said we're going to do or not, then sometimes you would also say what you're going to do next week. So next week I will be, or between now and the next meeting, I will be releasing the new demo code, and I hopefully will be starting to generate some content. And Adriel, if you have any topics that you think might be debatable or that you'd like to see a structured debate on, if you'd let me know, and I'll see if those would fit into my initial set of experiments, just to work together.
Sure, yeah. I mean, for Wiki Election, I'm kind of taking the opposite route as you. I think you're sort of starting at like a simpler topic, which makes sense. I understand why you're doing that. Because I'm sort of trying to get like just a barrage of evidence, I'm starting at like the top, where I'm starting with climate change and vaccines. So
yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure if you're ready to tackle those kind of topics yet, but
no, I do want to stay smaller. But if you run across one that you don't want to tackle, but you think would be nice, then
okay.
Now,
one of the ones that I might tackle to start with, just to sort of keep it more light, is flat Earth. I'm not sure if that's in line.
Wait, is what again?
Flat Earth, or I guess
flat Earth,
the shape of the Earth being the
topic. Yes, I have been thinking about that one.
Yeah.
I can't decide if it's small enough.
Get a bunch of kids together to have a debate.
Yeah.
Broadcast that.
Did you see the documentary that came out a year or 2 ago they actually had several flat earthers participate in the documentary?
I didn't see the documentary. I saw some people review the documentary.
Okay, it was really fascinating, and they did a really good job of being respectful of people you would ordinarily dismiss. So it was really, I thought it was good.
Is there anything you need help with, Bentley? That you
Oh,
would?
that's a good question. I don't know if anyone does have any opinion. So the topic that I chose was just the ketogenic way of eating or the keto diet. So if anyone has any, like, when they hear that, what are the concerns that you have? Like, oh, you know, you're going to die of a heart attack or stuff like that. It'd be good to get a feeling for like your top 3 or 4 reasons why you might be scared if you heard a family member was going to do that. Or something like that. Or, you know, if you're a diehard keto person like I am, then why you think it works. But yeah, any topics on any, and just to go on Twitter and look up Gullybot, and I can give you a link and post there so that everyone can see it. If you want to be private, you could always message it to me, and I'll use the data though.
Cool.
So yeah.
Another topic which has information, I'm not sure how accessible it is, I mean, you can either go broad and go breed-specific legislation, or just specifically talk about pit bulls and sort of the controversy there. There's a fair amount there.
That's an interesting one, because you could just do, you know, are certain dog breeds more aggressive than others, which people deny. Or there's the nuance of saying a whole breed could be, but that doesn't necessarily apply to a specific dog.
Right.
And then, but I think for my system, a specific piece of legislation would be ideal.
Right. Okay.
Because it gets more specific. Otherwise, people go everywhere.
Interesting. So on that topic, I don't talk about it too long, but I think a couple of cities have recently started to repeal them because they've gone back and reviewed and said this didn't actually lower the number of dog bites or dog attacks. Why are we having this legislation then? Because that's why we did it, and it's not working.
Yeah.
I think Denver is either has done it or like is close to undoing it.
Okay. That sounds like a good topic. Thanks.
Is that something that honestly I'll probably keep away from wiki election because it's a bit too close to me? So I don't think that I can be impartial.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to when people want dogs to be put down or ban them, and even if you don't have one, that's potentially part of it. So Adriel, do you want to do wiki election, or Shiloh? You can do what is it? I will remember the name of your project, and we'll come up with a project for Shiloh's name after.
Shiloh can go if she wants.
Okay. I don't know if I really have a project yet. I guess my future project would be having an art show that kind of introduces these different ideas. So it's in the making. I'm making a lot of art, but I also want to introduce these alternative ways of society to function with all these great solutions. So I guess it's just on the back burner. Is that good enough?
Yeah.
Great.
Adriel, do you want me to go, or do you want to go?
I can go. Sure, 1 second. Let me mute my phone because it's beeping at me for some reason. There we go. So wiki election this last week, it's been good. I've been working on the presentation for the news topic. I had wiki election split into 4 topics. As I went to work on the 4th topic, news, I found out it's really just the same as the first one, which is sort of the core features, because the news feature sort of comes out of those. So really this next session that I'm going to be doing in just under 3 hours is kind of looping back and doing the first session again, but this time with a spin on news, and it's actually the first time I'll be covering a couple of the sort of specific topics and have a few new graphics to, I don't know if show off is the right word, but throw it into the ether of the internet and see what happens. I guess that's not wiki election. The step for this week will be to continue working on the presentation just to keep it moving. But then specifically, I really want to get the specs done and out so that I can get them on Upwork. Weird sort of blip is that my credit card is expiring this month. So now Upwork is whining at me that my credit card is expiring and may have issues allowing me to start one. So I have to wait for that to come in the mail for the new one, which is not something that I expected to hold it up, but whatever that ends up being is fine. I think that's about it for now. And
just a quick tip, if you want to try it, oftentimes you can just figure out what the next date would be and put it in, and it'll all work. I know that because some startups have started automatically rolling your dates on your
That's
credit card.
actually a feature that some of those will talk to the banking company, and there's something in a lot of the terms on the credit card that says
just go ahead and do that.
if a company is paying for the service, because sometimes it's not even the same card number. They just get like your new card number and expiry and all that information if they had the previous one and they're paying for a certain service. But
Do
yeah.
you have anything you want help with during the hour?
I mean, I am looking for anyone that wants to sort of attend as another talking head in the Wiki Elections sections, because if it's not, then it's just me talking, and that's not as interesting. I've done I think probably 5 or 6 sessions now, and the best one by far was the one where Edward came in, and it was the topic on science, and we talked about that, and it was great. It was way longer than normal, but we covered a lot of good stuff. So,
what's your next topic? Because you are doing them kind of by topic, right?
Yeah. So now, so basically, starting today, I'm doing news, and then I'm gonna cycle through the same 3 topics, sort of, covering one every 2 weeks. So it's news, politics, and science, and then sort of the umbrella features around those. And when Edward did it, we kind of ended up talking about the whole thing because he didn't know that much about it, but we sort of used the discussion of science as the entry point, and that was actually quite good because he's a scientist and has that background, and he was able to come at it from that way.
And when are you doing them again?
So I do them on Saturdays at noon Pacific, and so I'm doing one today, and then I'll do one in 2 weeks, and 2 weeks, and 2 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I've been thinking of joining you on one of those. So
Okay,
I just
cool.
need
Yeah.
to find some time.
Sounds good. And if there's a certain topic of those 3 that speaks to you more?
I mean, either. I guess either the politics or the science.
Okay.
Maybe the science. But politics or science. The news one, I'm a little less. I think we need to judge the news, but yeah, I guess I could really talk to them all, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it ends up being the same conversation sort of in the end because it's all about the underlying evidence and what it supports on the top end. But it's kind of get into the.
And I would want you to get. It seemed like you do have some content. I don't know if that's in case no one joins you, or if you do have a set of features that you want to go through over the next several months.
That's sort of how I'm arranging it. Is each of those 3 topics is to cover the features for that area. Okay. I was splitting them out really sort of modular, talking to a developer style, and then as I was talking about it, I'm like, this just doesn't resonate with people. I think it's too technical, so I started to loop it into the really high level modules and sort of what kind of area of information that these features should hopefully fix. And there is some overlap between them, which is where it gets a little bit murky, but that's fine.
Cool.
So I can update you on what I've done in the last week, besides the breakdown that was just exactly what was needed at the time. But I decided to not go live at 6 p.m. every night. Why I ever thought that would work, I don't know. I'm now going live at 8:30 in the morning every day. Today I did a 20-minute session because I totally forgot that 9 o'clock is not an hour after 8:30. And I've had Nick join a few of them, which has been awesome for a little bit. And then today I had someone who, I don't know how long he's been a subscriber to the channel or if he even was before, but he came on, which is always a little dicey because you never know what you're gonna get. But he seemed to be someone from Ireland who is interested in doing what I'm gonna be doing this next week, which is I'm gonna reach out to Kira because she said that she was interested in doing a solution raising on mental health, emotional health during COVID-19 especially. And so I would love to do a solution raising on that. And if she's willing to do it live during that hour, that would be ideal because then people can showcase what that looks like. It also means it's a little bit, because the solution raisings are on this website, this YouTube channel, and then my live broadcasts every hour on the Jubilee Saves the World channel. So it's different. But the point is to just focus on something for those hours and to see now can we have more of the meta conversation. So possibly trying at least one of those throughout the 7 days to be a live solution raising. And so that one, the first one will be on mental health. And what I would love help with if somebody has a solution is I guess just how to grow the audience, and what Adriel and I talked to it yesterday after our board meeting of like, what does this look like it's different? It's like a process raising as opposed to a solution raising. Solution raising is like the conversation we're having, but what I'm really looking for is a group of people who want to focus on the conversation about a conversation that I've been wanting to have for months and months, right? Like, what does the process look like? How can we create it from the ground up of what would it look like to create something with 10,000 people, even though, of course, the actual core group of people who are creating it are 5 to 10 people. How do we create something with 100 people in Zoom? And then with 100 people in Zoom, how do we create something for 1,000 people? And then for 1,000 people, how does everyone invite 10 people and this process will still work? And so working through that is going to be messy, and we're going to try new things. And so someone who's comfortable doing the solution raisings itself don't need to be live on camera. They can be on Zoom. We can be doing it in a way that people are more comfortable. But the meta conversation of the process raising of like, what does this look like? We're creating for humanity. How do we get 10,000 people involved? I think that one does need to be live, online, recorded for everyone. So that is what I would love is help on how do I find those people, or do I just keep doing what I'm doing? And any thoughts on that? Any feedback on that? So we're done with the beginning part of this where we update everyone. I don't know what I'm taking on for next week besides what I said. I'm contacting
I think
Kara.
you covered it.
So one small thing, because it's not really my project, but there's something to work on. I have a prototype for like the Together Tech Game Beat project, sort of like a group portal. I sent the login over to Jubilee. I think she briefly was able to log in and check it out. And I guess now that we're at that step, I can probably send it over to you, Bentley, if you want to try and register, and I can make you own your project. I took the projects from that spreadsheet and imported them. Only a couple are sort of visible on the public side, because once it's done testing, I want to be able to contact those people and say, do you want it live? But it's meant to be sort of like anybody can go there and see what projects are listed, what the projects need help with, and what sort of events people are planning. And then if you log in, you can sign up for events and, submit a project and ask to help with a project and that kind of thing. So I'll probably, send it out to you, Bentley. And then at some point, if other people that have projects or that want help with projects are interested in trying it out, we can start sort of a closed beta, or probably a closed alpha is a better thing, because it's still pretty early days.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good. So normally the process that we kind of talked about for these meetings was called the hot seat version of a mastermind, which normally then we do that little round at the beginning where people talk about what they've done since the last meeting, what they're going to do for the next meeting if they want, and any things that they could use help on, and then usually it's the way that process was, you choose someone that would then focus in on their specific needs, and of course if you have time, it could be more than one person. I don't think we chose who it would be this week.
We did. Does anyone feel like that would be the most powerful thing for their project?
I mean, I already got a little feedback, and I gave Adriel a little feedback, so I don't know, Jubilee, if we want to focus on...
I'm down with that. I also think that possibly Shiloh, if you want help with like more concrete, like what your project is, right? A name for it, something like that. So I want to leave it up to Shiloh whether that is you want to be in the hot seat or whether you want to not be in the hot seat.
I think I'll wait. I'm still just kind of like, I've been thinking about this for a long time, but I don't know exactly what I'm asking for yet, so I'll probably just wait. I'm still trying to figure out all the different things, even just how to get here today. I received a message on my phone, but then I had to run around and realize, I need to email it to myself. And it's just so silly. I'm like totally behind on the tech, and I'm not sure I'll ever catch up. So, but I am interested in all these things. I listened to part of yesterday's video on, when you were talking about the keto diet. And Bentley, is that part of your project?
Yeah, so my project is to debate, have effective debates on controversial topics, and so that's kind of a small one that I chose for my first topic. But so the project isn't actually aligned with that. That's just a topic, and then I might do pit bulls next, like Adriel suggested.
So do you have a place where I could go and like listen to your conversation about it, or is it just text that I can read?
It's going to be all text based, and right now there's not a location yet. So right now I just kind of posted the question on Twitter, and then I'm going to take what people give, and then I'm going to put it into the system. So right now it's not going to be mature enough that people can actually just go on and start entering data. So my thought is I'll collect the data, then I'll throw it back out to Twitter and collect the data and Facebook. So yeah, I'll have a link hopefully in a week or so where it has kind of the first things that Gollybot, which is the character, has learned. So yeah, that's the plan. Yeah.
And Gollybot is the name of your like, I don't know.
Yeah, so that's kind of the moderator, the character that will be watching everyone's conversations. It's kind of a moderator on a conversation that has no preconceived notions. And the technology itself underlying it, I've called Reason Score. But now I'm starting to realize that a numerical score confuses people. And so maybe Gollybot would be better. So those are the two things, the technology and then kind of the character. So I'm trying out several things to see what works. I don't really know what's going to hit yet. Yeah. So yeah, I'd appreciate either if you want to give feedback on Twitter so that people see it, and I could share the link. No, yeah.
I don't do Twitter. It's just like too many. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna even go there.
Do you do Facebook?
So limited, like
okay.
Hardly at all. I know I'm the worst.
Yeah, I'm thinking at some point in the future, when it gets a little bit more mature, I will have videos. And kind of like we were discussing yesterday, a very un-Game B-like thing, whereas there's actually a game show type of using the tech. Although technically, I just remembered in the game show thing, you get points for putting in good information, regardless of which side it's on. So technically, it's more collaborative. And just having it be a game show and debate is just to get all the people that are used to Game A to watch it. But it is kind of pushed towards a Game B space. Anyway, so yeah, at some point in the future, I hope to have some kind of content. And I just talked to my brother this morning about maybe he and I should come up with a topic to debate. But whoever does it, it would be really, really slow because it's like, let's decide on a point and type it in, so I'd have to kind of edit the video down to be less boring. So he owes me a favor, so he might do that.
With Gollybot, like if I respond to it on Twitter, do I need to pro and con separately? Can I be like, keto is not sustainable for everyone on the planet to do it, but it helps with individuals' health who absolutely need it, right? That's going to be like a pro.
You don't need to. It's right now it's just manual where I'm going to be taking it in and putting it in. It's just a communication device outside of the system I built to have the conversation where people are interested. Okay. So however you want to. I think it would be interesting to see it in a pro-con format though, but yeah.
Okay.
I see. So it's still in like the Wizard of Oz prototype style where there's still the man behind the curtain. It's just the channel for...
Yeah, and there's a good chance that it'll always be moderated. Well, so this first phase is a highly moderated one, so everything will kind of go through me. So the goal isn't really to have a debate system, but it is to have a resource that has everyone's concerns in an organized format. Right. Is the first thing. So it's really going to be like a fact check website with a lot of more input from other people, but still not direct input yet.
Right. Yeah. Because when you were talking about Gollybot, I remember when I saw it, I was confused about how it was Reason Score, and I was like, I don't understand how this has anything to do with Reason Score, and I didn't know how to interact with it, so I didn't participate.
Yeah.
And although I'm a little less tech than other people, that might be something, the reason it's not getting feedback is like, one, people don't know what it is, even though it's a cute little robot. And so having more people participate with that, right? Of like, here's how you actually participate. Because it was like, I don't know, it's this weird spot between, I'm like, now that I know you're just collecting it, I'm like, I don't have to do anything specific, that it's not some kind of like algorithm that is smart and is gonna, you know, like I have to talk to it like it's those freaking annoying robots that respond to you on people's websites that are like, give me your email address.
Yeah, I really should respond to it with some of the stuff that I think on the topic, and just as so people can see some interaction.
Yeah, that would be.
I just kind of threw it out there. I didn't really expect people to interact with it. I really think it's going to be more when I'm going to do a Today I Learned that, oh, that keto is perfect for everybody, and then see what everyone says.
Yeah, nice. Bounce me right back.
A bit of conversation bait.
Yeah.
Nice.
Which is easy to do on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. It's harder to not do, I think.
Right. Yeah.
I guess I have another quick question. I'm wondering, so Bentley, you're a developer, and Adriel, are you also a developer?
I'm not a developer. I work with developers, but I'm not a developer myself.
Okay. And my question is Bentley, are you doing any developing with HoloChain or no?
Wait, I'm sorry. Developing in what?
HoloChain? The Holo apps? I don't know. HoloChain.
Oh, on the HoloChain stuff?
Yeah.
No. But I'm open to using that as the base database technology for any of the tools I want. That I'm building. Another kind of database system similar to that is Gun. So that is one of the options, is using HoloChain. Although my preference would actually be Hashgraph, which is, yeah, we could get into the debate on reason why you use one or not, but yeah, some sort of blockchain technology might be useful.
And maybe I'm a little bit off. When I think of HoloChain, I think of it as like, it seems to be easier mapping data and its connections, whereas blockchain is more like a centralized, I know it's decentralized in a way, but it's also kind of one central ledger. Is that right? So I just was thinking the HoloChain.
It's a decentralized central register. Which is a funny way to say it. I thought HoloChain was... I know I read it. It's been a while since I've looked at it. Oh, yeah. Controlling your identity. Yeah. And so HoloChain kind of helps, that's similar to the Gun database, where you kind of have your own collection of the data. Yeah. So I haven't used it specifically, but it's on my list of technologies to consider. Right now I'm using more traditional database, but I'm creating the system to where you can easily move it on to any sort of backend data structure. So,
well, let me know if you do any research on it, and I do have some ideas about this thing that we're trying to create that uses that type, just because it has a different type of tracking mechanism, I guess you'd say, and everybody can have their own, yet I believe we can learn to deposit it in a different way. Anyway, it's probably really out there. Another time.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely if you want to have a chat about it, we could always schedule a meeting, and
cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Right.
All right, I can take the hot seat if we're done with that. So, like I said, what I most want is, well, there's two things. One of which is to figure out kind of what that hour in the morning looks like. Although I'm kind of okay with letting it evolve and try new things and see what's just about really just being in the seat on camera for an hour and seeing how that evolves and growing an audience both for my channel, but also for just projects in general. But what I would love is for that hour to actually be, have it lead somewhere, have it be something that is kind of like a solution raising, like I said, doing live solution raisings. But having a group of people who are focused on how can we create the process for solution raising things. Solution raising is a specific type of conversation that gets the spark of the idea from the group. It's pretty easy to extrapolate that into 100 people on Zoom, but then we just have the spark of an idea. I want people who want to have a conversation on how do we actually get 10,000 people? How do we get a process with 1,000 people? How do we, and have that conversation live on camera so other people who don't want to be on camera can contribute to, yes, I would want to be one of the 10,000, but I don't want to be one of the people on camera, like to get a better understanding. And so that was a lot of things I realized, but pie in the sky, would really love to have 4 to 5 other people to meet with. I realize every day for people right now, 8:30 to 9:30 would be a lot. So having that stay kind of like during the Occupy movement, when they had 2 meetings a day, you didn't really need to attend them because they reiterated what was happening in the last one. Have it be something that people don't need to show up for consistently. And those things are diabolically opposed. It's like to have people just show up and do a project raising, and they can show up and do one for that day. They don't need to have a moving forward. So possibly even just picking one day a week that is focused on the more meta. This is kind of like what we're doing with Together Tech on Fridays, but doing it for project raising and having people who want to participate once a week at 8:30 to have the more meta conversation. So ideas, thoughts, clarity. What I just said.
I mean, kind of a small, simple one for the being able to, or being able to miss them and not having to attend every one. I kind of had the same issue with the live streams for Wiki Election, and one of the things that I might end up doing is having sort of like a templated, here's the spiel that I do in the first 2 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever that is, and then after it's posted on YouTube, you can go in there and add a comment and saying if you want to skip the spiel, click here. Because most people are going to be watching it either not live, so if you're not attending in the first 2 or 5 minutes, you'll miss it, which I guess in this case is probably a good thing. And then if you're watching it live and you've watched 3 in a row and you're like, I get it, you can click to skip it, and then you just go into the meat and potatoes of the actual conversation.
I can ask you more. Is it just a link in the description that says start at 3 minutes and then it starts at 3 minutes, or is there actually an option to skip ahead?
The easiest thing would probably be in the description. I haven't played with adding the YouTube tiles that you'll see in videos. I'm not sure if you can do those on recorded live videos. My guess is you probably can.
Yeah, I think you can.
And then
you can go back and edit any live video and make it less live. So
right, yeah. So I think assuming that all the same features are available, you could use that the tile saying click here, because I believe you can use that to skip 2 parts in the same video. But worst case, you can just use the timestamp links in the description, and then sort of say, hey, we're going to do the spiel. If you want to click it, there's a link in the description to skip to that part.
Yeah, I think that works for both people who come into the stream and are like, what's going on? What are we chatting about? There could be go watch any of the previous ones and watch the first 2 to 3 minutes, 5 minutes. And then people who are constantly just watching the replay, because it gets people time to be part of it. So most people don't show up in the first 2 to 5 minutes. So I like that. And honestly, I don't have one. I don't know how to, I'm like, I'm here. What are we talking about? And so having it more focused on solution raising, which, figuring out a spiel, giving it every day for 2 to 5 minutes, and then also having that possibility people can skip it if they're not watching it live, as well as can rewatch it if they come in
right.
a live
and
conversation.
Depending how complex it gets, you might almost have 2 parts. You might have just a really generic, here's what we're doing, and that's a minute, and then a 2 minute, here's what we did in the last session or last few sessions, and then be you can skip to whatever you want. Here's the timestamps. Do with that what you will.
Yeah, because I can reiterate probably what was my own agenda, what we talked about. I mean, ideally, I would also like someone to have that role, possibly someone who doesn't want to be on camera, who wants to show up and do that, even if they're just doing it on Mondays or just doing it on Tuesdays, to be the person who takes notes and says, yes, this is what we discussed, because that's not my strong suit. It's condensing, rewatch it. It's only an hour, which I would never do. But anyway, so having someone who could possibly take on that role is something. And having a portion of this that's what is needed. Again, I would love to have a concentrated group of people who are meeting live on camera to have this conversation, what day of the week works, but also that role of note taker for every single day, and have someone take the notes, and then I can update the description would be ideal, and something that people can.
It's amazing how many of these types of sessions that person would be great for.
Yes, absolutely.
We could use them
We
here
would
too.
also need one for this, would be great.
Yeah.
And for our Friday meetings and for all of it. But like luckily they're live, so like you could rewatch them and get the gist. At least they're like transparently there. They're just not transparently, like they're not accessible. They're not usable in their current format as easily as having here's what we discussed and here's what was decided.
I don't think there's a free version, but in the business world, there's apps where it's like you can sign up for kind of like a paid bot where it can join your Zoom room and it records it and it transcribes it. So it says like, oh, okay, Jubilee's saying this at this point in time because it knows that you're talking. And then, you know, if Bentley unmutes and talks, it says, oh, now Bentley's talking. So in the actual transcript, it says Jubilee, blah, blah, blah. Bentley, blah, blah, blah. And then it's not always perfect, but it helps sort of set the table for, no, he didn't say that. That's some speech to text issues. I'll just, you know, correct that. But it might be a good start.
I just need the next level of then it's not word for word, like it's like the what's actually important about what was said, right? But it is a good focus to have transcripts.
Yeah.
There are ways to do a video transcript like Otter.io, but it's a paid service. But there's people in the Game Bee space who have it, who like it just does that. It transcribes for it and generally tries to figure out with your voice, person 1, person 2, and I think you can then tell them who person 1 and 2 are. So it says, you know.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know. I haven't played
YouTube.
Sorry?
I think I have seen YouTube doing text. I have seen YouTube doing text to speech, I think.
Yeah, they have like,
So-
you can tell it to run the like suggested closed captioning and it scans it and it's fairly accurate. It's got some pretty comical issues sometimes, but you can go in there and edit them.
Can you do that with live video? Can you give closed captioning on live video?
I think there is a feature. I think it might just be like if you put it on a delay, or maybe it's just the recordings I've seen. Because I'm pretty sure you probably could have it run on a recorded video, but I think I've heard you can do it on live. I haven't tried it though.
I would be interested. But yeah, so creating a spiel that's 2 to 5 minutes, and then recapping what we did in the last session, and then giving my ask about what I would like, and then I can shoot the shit for the next hour long of like, hey, here's how you can join, here's how this is going. I mean, I can probably figure out that spiel in less than 5 minutes, even if I am on tangents. Whichever one's the better one, I can cut out and use as the go to this and listen to this if you want to know what we are talking about and what is going on and where we currently are. Like right now, we'll just be in the description of the previous one, and there isn't necessarily somewhere to go to have, here's what we've talked about in the last 20, which is just its own document and copy and pasting. But it's not its own website, nor do I want it to be at the moment. Like it's just what is capable. I can do a description, especially if someone else is writing it out and I'm just pasting it in. That would be ideal. And if not,
so you're willing to paste a description. That's good to know.
That's the level of my, I can't write it out, can't figure it out. But yeah, so I think that's good. I can do that. And we'll see how that goes in the next week. How well I was able to do it. Maybe we want to, instead of having me in the hot seat, because I'm good, having the Facebook group in the hot seat. Like, how do we, remember what I said at the beginning? Like, can we orchestrate, what were we orchestrating in words to join this? What this is, what this Saturday morning project is, to type out so that we can post it in Facebook so that there's more people joining. Because ideally, this would, we'd have 30 people here and we'd be on Zoom and be breaking into groups and having that be more powerful. And then, yeah. How do we explain that for people who aren't on this video so that it's actually something they want to do?
Yeah, I've gotten mixed up between the meetings myself, so I actually don't remember what we
It can be hard with
originally said this time.
the juggling and the alternating and stuff. It can be hard to be like, which one is this? What time is this? What version of this time is this?
Yeah, which is, I think, why, like, it's 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We get together, we say what our project is. But if we've shown up repeatedly, we may, like, maybe we don't need to hear what reason score is every time. But it's also a good practice. So, like, you're welcome to give us the spiel every time. But like, what you've done, what you are saying you're going to do, and what you could use help with, right? And then everyone else does that same thing, and then we chat for one person takes the hot seat and gets more focused help from the group of 3 to 4. And that we're looking to grow it. Anyone, as long as we know who's going to show up, we can have up to 100 people. We're nowhere near that, we're good. And then once we get anywhere close to that, where we're having more, then we can open up a second section. second session, and maybe some of us do 2 p.m. and some of us do 9 a.m., right? Because those 2 times work for both the 3 of us generally. So if some of us are showing up for the 9 a.m. and some of us are showing up for the 2 p.m., anyway, but like that doesn't necessarily need to be in the first part. Right now it's like 9 a.m. 9 a.m. will open. We could mention that we'll open up more time slots as this one becomes more popular for people that it doesn't work for.
So yeah, so this is the kind of open mastermind group for projects. But it might be good to explain what a mastermind is and what we mean by projects.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, in general, I don't know if we still want to say Game B projects. But
I think to some because like what you said, right, with Reason Score, you're like, this is too Game A because it's a contest, because like I feel like it's too much of a box. It's like, does it improve our world literally in any way?
Right.
Great, come, but do you need help with it? Do you want to help other people with their projects? Like that to me is the bigger, because there's people who are Game B who also aren't Game B. Like they don't know how to create OmniWin solutions. They haven't dealt with that part of their ego, and they're like, we're all going to come up with jealousy is the wrong word, but like conflict of interest, and like, oh, I don't want, like, that's stepping on my toes, and that's part of this process. But if you aren't even aware of that, and you're just like, well, no, you can't do that because I'm doing that. I don't know. Like, to me, instead of are you going to practice Omega Rule, it's do you want help on your project, and do you want to help other people on their project? And even if you sometimes fail at that, is that our intention? I want your project to succeed. I want my project to succeed. That's why we're having this hour-long session, right? Where it's can't be all about you, but it also absolutely can be something, some about you and your project.
So like if we did want to put a link, I put a link into the Wikipedia Mastermind Group article, and then a link. Actually, I happen to know this guy on a hot seat description, but there's several others. I don't know if that's a great hot seat description. Of course, it could just say mastermind, and the format can then be flexible. We don't, because we may not keep with the hot seat format. But yeah, just say come together to work on our projects to improve the world in a better place, and we do it, and it's a mastermind. Here's what a mastermind is, maybe.
For the format, I'm wondering if the term roundtable is a good sort of like generic description, like if it's the Saturday morning project roundtable, where it's sort of meant to be like everyone goes around, shares, and then we might end up saying, hey, we're going to try the hot seat as sort of one of the defining features of this roundtable. But to me, that gives a vibe of like everyone comes, everyone shares, everyone gets something out of it, which isn't necessarily true in the other sessions. But this one is meant to be that.
Yeah, we're focusing that. I think that's.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if roundtable implies more like a news show roundtable where you're pontificating on what's going on. But I guess if it's project focused, then it does.
Project roundtable. And it's also, like roundtable also has less of a, like mastermind, like when Sam sent out the minutes this morning that he wasn't going to come, and he was like, because I haven't done anything in the last week. And I was like, okay, so we all allow downtime, and a roundtable makes it sound like we can drop in and drop out, which is good. And it also makes it sound less like I need to have had my shit together in the last week to attend.
Right, yeah. You can just show up and talk about other people's projects.
Nothing. I did nothing this last week. That is valid. And take on something new the next one.
And we should probably explicitly say that you don't even have to have a project to participate, because you can always give feedback. And
yeah, that's actually a really good point. That's something that I want to get more of, is people who don't have projects. But especially like if you are interested in them and you might want to help, like I want to get inside that person's head to figure out how do we get more of you. Because that, we need like a 10-to-1. We need way more of them than actual projects.
Yeah. And it is part of that. So roundtable also, I think, also gives that impression, because it can be, I don't have a project, I'm thinking this might be my project, or I have no idea, I'm here for, like, all of it. And I think a roundtable is more, you bring you to the table and whatever ideas you have in that moment that day, right? Like I'm workshopping, having a new Zoom call on Orange is the New Black, right? Like, it doesn't really matter what it is. It's like, this is what I'm working on this week, and that can be. So round table. I like that more. And maybe we implicitly imply drop in, drop out. This is about, we want more and more participation, but it doesn't need to be the same people, right? This isn't a board meeting. It doesn't need
Right. Yeah.
to know what happened last time.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Attend.
and masterminds usually are more private, while roundtables are more public. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this one is also more, as long as we're not consistently getting 6 people, I'd say we continue doing it with this format. I mean, I'm happy to any day, let's say we have our 7th person show up, I'm happy to not be here, right? Like to just, or like be here, but facilitate this conversation and pop people up and down as opposed to like be the note taker or something, right? Which I'm not so great at, but I can take a stab at it for that, like rotating through that too, showcasing, hey, because then that might even be a position that someone's like, actually, I prefer that to not be on camera, just be taking notes. I know that's not me, but it can.
Yeah. I also like it because there's like, from my point of view, there's no baggage associated with that term. The things like game B and mastermind, I'm worried that we'll get mired in the, well, that's not mastermind or that's not game B. And then you get stuck in that as opposed to just do it and we'll hash it out later. Like we can go back later and be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have talked about that. Or like, well, maybe we don't do that portion next session because that kind of got negative or whatever the reason is.
Turns out the eugenics project was not very game B. It was not very.
We know for next time. All right.
No Nazis at the
Lesson
table.
learned.
Gotcha. Check. Let me just clear my throat once again.
I have a question. I'm wondering, because I'm a little confused with all the different times and videos and groups. So, Jubilee, you mentioned before that we could possibly have just like a session where we're imagining the world with our project in it, or with, like, my project isn't really a specific project, but it's really a platform for all solution projects. It kind of supports projects widely and shows the connectivity, like our interconnectivity and how important that is. But it's not a specific project. It would support all of these projects. Anyway, I'm just curious if there's a specific group or time where it'd be good to discuss that kind of thing, where it's not one specific or a specific way or thing. Does that make sense?
I think what you're talking about is maybe the idea cafe for projects, because there's solution raising, which is, we talk about the possibility of the future, but you don't bring your project to it, you bring you to it and any knowledge you have, so you kind of bring your project to it. It's my project, you know what I mean? It's like my umbrella project to do solution raising. But theoretically, every other Friday, we're having idea cafes on Fridays at noon on like a question that you can bring your project to. So last time it was, how could your project help during the pandemic? If it was ready, up and going, like right now, not a lot, but if we had time to create it. And so maybe Shiloh, you and I could brainstorm more questions like that are more of a generative conversation around what if all of our projects existed in the world, right? And what are those, to put people in the visioning space of, wow, not only is Reason Score there, but so is WikiLection, so is Solution Raising, so is CubeSpawn, so are all these things. What does the world look like that, without like focusing too much on that, right? Where people feel like they have to have like a degree in imaginary science before they can show up and be part of it. Like, just answer the question. That's all you have to do. And you can even pass on the question, but generating a question that is more open and generative. Does noon on Fridays work for you, Shiloh? It's noon Pacific Standard Time.
Normally I would say yes, but I know everybody's like all freed up now that this COVID thing is going on, but my partner is a builder, and so he's home, and now we have like a million projects to do at home because he's here. And it's just like, oh, give me just a minute. So it's been really hard to schedule. But I would like to say normally, yes, noon on Fridays would be good for me. So let's see, I guess
if this Friday works for you, we can set up an idea cafe for this Friday, because we just had 2 board meetings in a row because we didn't set that up. And like I said, I'm taking on putting up these videos again. So if you want to coordinate after this and say, yes, we'll do this Friday as an idea cafe, even if you don't show up for it, and it ends up being something.
Well, if I do make it, I will, if I schedule it with you, like specifically, then I will make sure to make it. But,
Okay.
Okay.
It'll give you a reason to leave that project and go and do something else.
Exactly. Oh, I need it.
Then this one at 9 a.m. We'll put up a post for a round table with more of that language. And then also we'll craft a question for the Idea Cafe and put that up as well for Friday and Saturday next week.
And I was just thinking maybe it'd be good to have a pinned post on the Game View Projects page just with the listing and then the descriptions below of what our
What the different
general
things
meetings
are?
Yeah, maybe.
Wouldn't that be great? If only we could
You mean like
use language.
Saturday at noon this and Friday at 9? Like, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, the other thing is we could actually put events in the Facebook page. I don't know if that's a pain.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. I started doing that. And then it's both like you still have to do the posting that people see and respond to, and then they respond to that and not to this. And it's a little, but then there is the beauty of having a calendar. But I think that Adriel's current NAC project is the best solution for that, where I believe you can be an individual who can see the calendar for all of the stuff under Together Tech and can join it or not. And you can also, you can see more what's going on in the broader sense. And then also, but I think, yes, having a pinned post that says, this is what an Idea Cafe is and when they take place. This is what the board meeting is and when it takes place. This is what the roundtables are when they take place. And here are the, and maybe it's two different posts, but here are what we can do, right? We can have not a solution raising. That's mine, my project. The other one, project raising, right? Like you host one at any time. It doesn't need to be Saturdays that we're available. Like anytime you want to post it, if there's enough traffic, then hopefully somebody can make it and we can, you can be in the hot seat. You can choose to be in the hot seat and we can focus on your project if people are available during that time slot. Like this is something that on your schedule, you could do this, right? On your schedule, you can have an Idea Cafe, ask a question, have people show up. But we also have one scheduled for this time period. Every other Friday at noon, kind of thing.
Sounds great.
Are you saying there is a calendar or not yet?
There isn't a calendar. There kind of is under Adriel is just kind of working with NAC and figuring out, right? There's going to be a physical calendar, right? That I can see what's happening over the course of a week or over the course of a month. Right?
That feature doesn't work great in NAC. It does it, but for some reason it doesn't have an end time. So it just assumes all the events are 2 hours. And that doesn't work great for time zones with just how it's designed. So right now it's just a grid, and then there's a column for each. I think I'm tracking 3 time zones: Pacific, Eastern, and UTC. But we can add more. And then the idea there is that it's sort of, you can look at the full list, or you can go look at a project and say, tell me what that project's events are. And we can, and we can look at doing a calendar, but yeah, that's one area where the calendar in NAC isn't perfect. We can explore it though.
And also anything that's created in someone else's stuff isn't going to be exactly what you need it to be. But like having, like as an individual, if I want to know what is happening with Together Tech, and then also what's happening, like I want to be able to choose WikiLection or Reason Score, like pick the ones that I want to follow and then see when there's things that are live. And I want to know what the participation is. Do they want people live on camera? Am I like, or just someone to watch and someone to participate live, or is that not even necessary and I can just watch it at any point during the week?
And that's like one of the things that each event has a public URL and like a participant's URL, so that the public list always has the public URL, but you can't join unless you're a member and you signed up for it.
Got it. Kind of. Have to play with it to figure it out. But speaking of which, I came in contact. This is one of the things I would like to do. Let's just start a whole new thing in the last 5 minutes. Unless someone else has something else they'd like to say. But like with Under Together Tech, we talk about like creating projects from scratch, which is what I'm trying to figure out with solution raising. People bringing their projects to it, and then, but you're in ownership of your project. Together Tech doesn't own it. There's no part of the 10,000 people and $100,000 is finding things that already meet our needs and buying them. Like there are so many team building apps, team building like Monday.com and task management ones. And there was one I came across this week that looked cool, but the pricing was so astronomical that I was like, who would ever pay this? It's like $250 a month.
Jesus.
for basically like a tree, like an idea tree. Like I was like, why would anyone pay that? And but anyway, that because all these things I think are not sustainable, their success is either to be bought by Google and Facebook, or basically to go out of business, or possibly stay in the but no one stays in the space, right? Someone buys you. And so if we're the them that buys you, that like, well, yours was going to go out of business anyway, $100,000 is better than nothing. And then having an actual, but it would need to be something that meets 90% of our needs that we would want to have as part of under our umbrella. But like, actually, that's a feasible solution, like to buy something
Right.
that's already there. We're like, okay, instead of $250 a month per, like ridiculous, how much do you actually need to make to run this? If your options go out of business or stay in business, you have a job, you have, you know, like, what do we need so humanity can use this for free, basically? Not every new customer pays X amount of money. There's an actual cost to that. But anyway, have the first project we buy, if that's ever an option that we take, is going to be much more complex and much more. But once we start doing that in other industries, then that might be the the starting point. Let's find out what's in food apps. Do any of them work for us? Can we buy them? Instead of.
Right. Yeah. I mean, personally, that's kind of my end goal for Together Tech, is where like it becomes this sort of like a group owned co-op where it's a co-op that owns tech. Like that's sort of its.
Yeah. And my point was just, instead of it being an end goal, it might actually be our first, we have our first, our projects, right? That we're not letting go of. Together Tech doesn't own them. That's not, and that, but like as under Together Tech, having 10,000 people buy an app for, you know, putting in $10 or $25 each, for now we own a version that's not $10 a month, right? That's not X amount, because now we own Monday.com and we can use it and we can open it up to the world so the world can use it no matter what your project is. And with something like that, like none of the ones that exist are free for very good reason. They need to make a living, they need to, but like if humanity owns it, it's a completely different, like we don't need to make $10 a month per person per time. But if people are paying that into it, it's way cheaper than what most of them are charging. It's not per organization. So it's like, do you agree in the bigger mission of Together Tech? And then like starting with something that would actually meet our needs in a very real way, right? That is about creating a team, working through tasks together and doing, and could that be used for projects? But anyway, that was just something I've been sitting with. So I was like, oh, this is actually more feasible. It could be something we could do with 10,000 people and 100,000. Once we got 10,000 is partly what exists that we want to buy. And it would be in that realm, would be our first one, would be in the team management, project management.
One thing I haven't looked though is there also could be some pretty good open source ones, and then we just need to pay for hosting, and we probably need to compensate the person who's keeping it up and running and patched and stuff like that.
What would that even be called?
Hmm?
Like, I know what open source, so I can Google open source, but what is, I mean, I don't, like a team management / task management, right? Is like,
yeah,
but I don't
think
know
we need to, it'd probably be good to have a long conversation about what features do we think we need, and then we can go and someone could do some time researching that. And I think there's a website that, I think Frostbite, it's free and open source software, where they often list alternatives. So you can go in there, and I think you can just type in, or there's a couple websites where you can say, and you can even just Google alternative to. So if we pick one we like, we might just say alternative to, and then research those alternatives.
yeah. And that's part of it, is that most of the ones that are way too expensive in my mind have a free option, right? So finding 5 or 6 people who want to work on a project and having, like, we're doing Monday.com for the next 2 weeks. Now we're doing this one. Now we're doing this one, and seeing what they have and what is there one that we would like, or is there one? Can we use these features? What features do they have? And then can we create one with the best features? Would be ideal, yeah, because with $100,000, I'm pretty sure we could pay someone to put together an open source one that is even better. Or there's one out there that exists that meets 90% of our needs, already has been done. There isn't a lag. It's just about buying it and having those people be part of a transparent, open conversation. What do you need? You're muted. Oh, Adriel knows he's muted. Like he's on the phone, I think. So. We can't hear you. I can see your lips move.
I'm thinking, aren't open source apps part of the Creative Commons, and is there a way to search that way? Don't they have Creative Commons licenses when they do open source apps that are free to anyone?
Well, you can actually have open source without. Most of them are some sort of. There's several licenses, and some of them fall under Creative Commons, some don't. We would have to look at the licensing, but and that's why I was thinking. I think there's a couple of sites that are specifically their goal is to help promote open software, so they kind of are a place that people go to.
I did want to know, you had said something like Fossify, Bentley, that was like you could go to.
It turns out that website was wrong, so ignore that.
That sounds like a cool option. Something where I can be like Facebook, but we own it. Like it's open source.
Well, so you can do. I think there's alternative to dot something, but if you could, you can just search alternative to and put in the name. And I can't remember the name of all the sites, but there are some that will come up. And like opensource.com is a place where like the top line is top 7 open source project management tools for agile teams, 5 open source alternatives to Trello. So that would probably be a good resource to
just like
do research on.
I get it. I get the difference between open source and like Facebook and Google, but somebody needs to make these things where like everyone can come to it, where it isn't, you don't need to understand what open source is, because like every team having their own little, well, we'll take that and we'll run with it and we can make this work for us, isn't the same as like, I can go and see all of the projects that I'm part of. I can go and be part of all the Trello boards that I want, right, from the open source, but that's just my own little.
Say that again.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I think we're going to end this right away anyway. Adriel said he's just going to step out for a second. So we can say goodbye to YouTube. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on Friday.